Hi everyone, so I'm going to try to get this done quickly. I did record this before, but wasn't too happy with it, how it came out. So this is just my essential face brushes and how I use them. I wouldn't necessarily use all of this product and in this way every time I get ready, but I just wanted to be able to show you the most amount of brushes at once. So hopefully this can give you some ideas. If you do have these brushes, ways to use them, if you are interested in buying them, that kind of thing. So if you are interested, then stick with me.
All right, so I have not watched this in a really long time. I recorded this about 2 months ago, so we'll see how this goes. So I'm using the Revlon ColorStay in 110 Ivory, FaceAtelier in White 0 minus, and the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector in Pearl. And I'm just globbing this all together. I probably haven't done this kind of foundation situation since about this time. I've been trying to make my routine a little bit more streamlined since I have less time now that the baby is all over the place and taking shorter naps. So the brush today for foundation. So I'm using this stippling brush from Real Techniques. I don't use it that often, but right now it's the only brush that I can use where it doesn't make foundation kind of settle into my pores. I can sort of use my fingers, but what gives me the best finish that doesn't cause that little polka dot pore situation is using a sponge. And what I've been using is the Real Techniques complexion, whatever it's called, sponge, which is awesome. Highly recommend it. But this stippling brush, I can use it. I kind of make sure I only get a very small amount of product and then I stipple it around and really distribute the smallest, thinnest layer I can and then buff it in. I have found that what really aggravates the polka dotted filled in pores situation is when I have too much product on. And once I've gotten too much product on, it's difficult to recover from it. So I just really stipple around, get it very, very thin, and then go back in and kind of buff with it. So when it's used this way, I feel like it really does give me a nice finish. It doesn't, sometimes when you're buffing, if you have a little bit of dryness, it can make it worse almost because I'm doing more stippling and just the light amount of buffing as opposed to kind of trying to buff it all in like with the buffing brush or something like that. So I just found that this does kind of work for me, but it's a little tedious. It's not my favorite way. Really, the favorite way to apply liquid foundation right now is that damp sponge method. But yeah, so this works. But yeah, I do like that using a brush, it's a lot easier to clean up rather than a sponge. I feel like I can tell when it's 100% clean and I can spot clean it a couple times before I need to deep clean it, that kind of thing. I don't know. I'm not loving applying foundation at all at the moment, so I'm having a hard time talking about how great this brush is. I wouldn't say it's fabulous, but for me it does work, and I appreciate that it works. Now I hope I get done doing this foundation soon because I am really running out of things to say. Apparently not. See, this would take probably a quarter of the time, a quarter to half the time if I used the Real Techniques sponge. Oh, just finish up, Nicole. I'm just adding a little more coverage to my cheeks because they tend to be fairly pink. So a lot of times, every day, often I just don't wear much coverage and I don't put on blush because my cheeks are already kind of pink. So that's the coverage it gives with the way I kind of built up where I needed a little bit more. Yada yada. I really probably should have watched this beforehand. So this is the Too Faced Full Bloom Cheek, I think in lip color, and this one is in something poppy pink. I don't know. Just pinched pink. I probably should have read it, but I was trying to read the name of the product. I'm using the e.l.f. Small Stipple brush. This thing is so awesome. This is one I really do like. It makes cream blush just so easy to apply. I have several cream blushes that are really not easy to apply with fingers, and that's my kind of preferred method for a cream blush. But this makes any kind of difficult, thicker, stickier cream blush really easy, and I really, really like it. I'm so glad I got it. I had seen Emily Noel 83 Beauty Broadcast here on YouTube. I'd seen her use it a bunch, and I finally saw it in Target and decided to pick it up. I'm always kind of wanting e.l.f. stuff, but I never want to make a whole order. So I'm using the Laura Mercier Matte Radiance Baked Highlight in 01 Highlight, and I'm using the contour brush from Real Techniques. It's not a great brush for highlight just because it's so dense, but it's small, it will do the job. I can also use it for setting powder, but again, I have to really be careful to put a very light hand. This Laura Mercier highlight I feel like is a little bit more on the natural side, so it's not a big deal if I use something dense like this, but I was just not loving anything for highlight, so that's why I kind of picked that. Now I'm also showing how I use it for contour. So I'm using the Urban Decay Matte Shadow in Shakedown, which was discontinued quite some time ago. And I also use that for my brows before I started dyeing my hair red. So what I try to do is just apply it in that hollow of my cheek, only use a light amount, and then kind of buff back and forth and spread it up into close to my temple area around my forehead. I feel like a heavy contour doesn't work so well on my face just because I don't have kind of much of a natural shadow. I have a little bit, but not much. So it can, like here, you can see I put too much on. It can look very fake. So I do try to pull it down just to kind of increase the more realistic shadow of if my cheekbones stuck out a little bit further. So I do feel like this does pretty well for contour. The only issue I do have is that one is where it will get a little too much product put down at first. And if my face is at all sticky, it's difficult to come back from that after you've put a little too much on. But it does pretty well, and it works better if I'm a little more light-handed. So I'm using this MAC Mineralize blush in Dainty. And I picked this up because of Sharon Makeup Artist. And this is the Japonesque 324 Pro Blush Brush, I think it's called. Unfortunately, the price on this has gone up, so it's similar to something like the MAC Blush Brush, but it is such a lovely brush, and I really, really enjoy using it. It's just so soft, and it feels so well made, and I just love it. Apparently, I'm giddy from the brush excitement because I don't normally smile when I'm putting my brush on, or I was chatting with the baby. That is fully a possibility. Real Techniques blush brush. So this one, I can use it for blush, but it's a little big. What I like to use it for is powders. I am using the e.l.f. Tone Correcting Powder here, which is quite matte. I really do have to be careful using this because it can look overly matte. But this only picks up, a smaller amount of product, and it's very soft, it's comfortable to use. I like the way that it applies product. I also use this for mineral foundation, and I believe I have a video up that shows my kind of sheer to light coverage mineral foundation routine with the Laura Mercier mineral powder using this brush. But day to day, I usually will use it for setting powder, and I think it is quite lovely for that.
That's my finished look. It's a little crazy on the cheeks, stronger than I would normally wear, and it's just a lot of products. So I normally wouldn't mix this much stuff together, but I did want to show you everything pretty much. If you have any questions about how I use my products, how I use the brushes, comments, whatever, I would love to hear them below. And thank you so much for watching and being patient while I got this video together, and I'll see you soon.